Alright, today I'm going to give you guys a detailed look at this Iron Man Mark III figure, and it is by King Arts. It's kind of dark, you guys can't see. And here you can see the box has a metallic type finish to it. Kind of nice. It's like the Hot Toys Iron Man Mark III type of finishing on the box. You can see some sort of metallic sheen on it. Then on the back shows a picture of the Mark III. And once you open up the top, here you can see the figure. Well, the figure will be housed here, and all the accessories. Got a bunch of hands, some flaps, shoulder cannons, and some forearm missiles, and then that guard thing on this a gauntlet, and then base, and then batteries. And since I got the regular version, didn't get the exclusive, so it doesn't have that poster of Iron Man on here. Alright, so here we have Mark III outside the packaging, and let's take a look at the accessories first. We have the forearm rockets, one over here, and then one over on this side, and then we have the guard, and then a bunch of hands. We have gesture hands, repulsor blast hands, fists, and then he also comes with articulated hands. And then we have these shoulder rockets. And here we have a bendy rod. This one is the longer one. It comes with a short one for him to stand and one for flight poses. And then we have two tools for applying, for putting in batteries and stuff. And then this one is a translucent tweezer, and then a little rod right here, and then a bunch of batteries. And it also comes with a circular base and with the name plaque of Iron Man 3. What? That makes no sense. It should be Iron Man and then Mark III, but they put Iron Man 3 Mark III, which is a mistake. And yeah, there's the figure. And the little plaque is applied on using magnet, so you could easily take that off if you don't like it. And then on the back over here, the bendy rod, you can see there's a little trap door. You could close it if you don't want to put the rod in. It screws on, just like Hot Toys. And then, yeah, if you don't want it, you can unscrew it and then flip the top back over so it wouldn't be noticeable. Which is nice, and here it has the clamp around the waist, and it is made out of metal, which is nice. A lot better than plastic, because this is a die-cast figure, but not that heavy. Alright, so let's start off by talking about some of the defects that are on this figure. Two that are very, very noticeable for me. And here you can see there's a paint bleed from the gold transferred to the helmet, which you can see right there. Right there, there's a spot right there on the corner of the mask right there. Just very, very annoying. And then the other thing, it's a paint chip over on his cap area. Here you can see there's a spot of silver. It's because the red paint's chipped away, and I didn't even do anything to it. Straight out of the box, it was like that. So that's another disappointment for something this pricey, because this figure is gonna set you back $200. So that is kind of disappointing to have those two defects. And here I noticed another paint chip right here around the shoulder pad, which is annoying. Well, I guess it's so still, I mean, it is annoying because you're paying so much for this figure. And QC wise, not perfect, not as good as Hot Toys, definitely. And one thing you gotta really watch out for, those shoulder pads. Here you can see when you first take it out of the box, it has a piece of translucent sticker over the shoulder section, Here, same on the side, is because they want to protect it from the shoulder pad rubbing against it, and it does rub against it. So at the moment, I'm leaving them on just so it doesn't take the paint off of that piece of armor right there, because with the way they create the shoulder pads, they are spring loaded, and those will rub against that section quite often. And here you can see the way they engineered the shoulder pad. It's very similar to Hot Toys where they are spring loaded, but the spring is hidden underneath. Initially, I think some of the Mark 42, 43, and some of the other armors has exposed springs where you could actually see the spring, which is really tacky looking. That's why I never bought a King Arts figure until now, and I'm really glad they fixed that issue, because it looked really bad from pictures I've seen of Mark 42 and whichever ones it was. That whenever you lift his arm, you could actually see the spring, which is really nasty looking. And another thing that kind of annoys me about this figure is the articulation around the neck. In the instruction, it shows that you could lift the head up a little bit and then give it a wider range of motion, because right now when it sits firmly down, the head is firmly down, he has very limited range of motion, but in the instruction it says you can lift the head up a little. Here is that joint, so basically it sits in here, and then you can lift it up a little bit, because you can see there's a little bit of a shaft right there, so you can lift it up a little bit and then give the head a better range of motion. But the socket joint is so tight, I mean it's so loose, that it doesn't work with this piece. Here you can see the socket joint right here, and then they cut a little section off the front so it doesn't break the socket joint, but I think the slit is a little too wide, so it's very loose, so whenever you try to lift the neck section up a little bit, it just pops right out, so which makes this articulation point pretty much useless. And the shoulders are done nicely. It has a ball hinge joint, and then inside there's another ball joint, which gives him greater range of motion. And then here you can see there's a swivel joint, and then elbows can bend about 90 degrees. That's it, nothing more than that. And then he has a ball jointed wrist, and again articulated fingers. And this figure has a very good abdominal articulation. Here you can see he could crunch forward quite a bit for a figure like this. Even Hot Toys couldn't achieve this. Hot Toys did a little gimmick where you could see the inner workings of the abdominal section, which I wish they didn't, because it leads them to have to replace the abdominal section with another piece for him to do the landing pose. But with this figure, it doesn't have that issue. And here you can see the abdominal section. The articulation over here, it's quite good. Alright, and here's a good look at the legs, and here you can see one leg is lower than the other. There's a added articulation point there, a joint where you can lower the legs, just like SH Figure Arts and some of the other figures nowadays. And then here on the side here, here's what it looks like if you didn't open these flaps. On the side here there's a piece, and then in the front here, front section, there's a hinge right there. You gotta be really careful when you're lifting this piece up. And the side, here you go, and it gives them a lot of room to work with too. And on the hips, you can see there's a ball joint right there, and then the thighs are on a swivel joint, and then knee bend could bend about 90 degrees. That's about it. And as for the ankles, And as for the ankles, it is on a ball joint, and then you can see some of these flaps can lift up, so it doesn't impede with the articulation. And then there's also a toes articulation. And here with all the Ironmans from King Arts, they give them lights on the bottom as well. And I'm very sorry to say that he cannot do a convincing landing pose, not even a good one. There is something with the hips articulation, that ball joint doesn't work really well. It just doesn't work. And I just tried it, and the chest section, it doesn't rotate too much, and the legs it just doesn't work. The knee bend, you can see, yeah, 90 degrees, that's it. And the legs, it would have been better if it could spread outward a little bit more, but it cannot, which is disappointing. So there's no way you could achieve a really good looking landing pose for this Mark III figure from King Arts. And here I gave him a repulsor blast pose, and this he could achieve really nicely. And with the articulation, it helps somewhat, but just not an extreme pose. So definitely no landing pose. Landing pose will not work, but otherwise a good leg bend pose, abdominal crunch, and here you can see the repulsor blast would look great like this. So there are limitations to range of motion, and the neck does bother me a lot, but I was able to fix that issue by pulling the that ball joint out, and then applying that to the neck, to the head section first, and then kind of slowly push it back into the neck. So so I was able to turn his head a little bit more that way. But if the joint it's already in the neck and you try to lift the head up a little bit, that will not work, because the joint is just that socket joint in the head is just too loose. But overall here you can see you could do a very good repulsor blast pose. Really awesome looking. Alright, and here he is with lights on, and here you can see he has light on the hand, the chest, and the eyes. The lights are nice. It's always good to have light up features for figures like this. But one thing I did notice is even when you set it to the off position, lights are still emitting from the hand and the chest. The eyes are fine when it's set to off position. There's actually no light coming through, but for the chest and the hand, there's still a faint bit of light shining through, so it's not completely off. And as for the forearm attachments, here you can see I can remove this piece just like that. And here's what it looks like with the rocket attachment applied. And the chest plate is removable, so you can kind of see the inner workings of the chest area. And then here's the guard. Put that on. And then here's the flap. You could open it up. Kind of nice looking. Oh, and up here there's another flap as well. And on the back of his leg, I can remove these die-cast pieces, and to expose his lower leg right here. Here's the size comparison between a King Arts and the Hot Toys Iron Man Mark 43, I believe this is. Yeah, size-wise is definitely a bit shorter because this is a 1/9 scale. But as far as construction, it's definitely pretty high. Accessory-wise, you're getting a lot of stuff for something this size, and price, you're paying quite a bit. You're paying $200 for this. I guess it's justifiable if you compare it to Hot Toys. The Hot Toys die-cast stuff are roughly $300, and this one is $200 with die-cast. So for what it is, you are getting your money's worth. Quality wise, it's up there. I like it. There are just a couple of minor gripes I have. Mainly the articulation, the range of motion, and some of the QC issues are still there. But there are improvements on this figure, which I'm very happy to see, especially the shoulder pads and yeah, that's about it. It would have been nice if he came with a Tony Stark head sculpt. That would have made it even better, but we didn't. That's all right. It would have been nice, but yeah. But overall, it is a nice figure. And am I gonna get more? I probably would, but I'm definitely gonna pick and choose specific armors that I want. I know I'm definitely getting the Mark 1, but the Ironmonger I still have to think about because that thing is 350, which is quite high for something that size. I believe the Ironmonger is probably gonna be the same size as the Hot Toys 1/6 scale. Maybe a little bit taller, I'm not sure. But yeah, for what it is, I like it. I'm happy to have this Mark III. Another thing I didn't like is the color. It would have been nice if it was a little darker, more of a burgundy red. It would have been nice because I think that's the actual color, not this bright apple hot rod red, which even though he said in the film, but it's not. So at the end of the day, I say this is worth getting. Price wise, it's good. One thing I forgot to show is that the base also light up, which is nice. So for that, I say worth getting if you want another Iron Man. And if you have the Mark III from Hot Toys, would you still want to get this? It is very similar, but articulation, the abdominal section, it's better than the Hot Toys. So I don't know, it's hard to say. Depends on how much you like Iron Man, I guess. If you want this scale, then yeah, you might want to get it. But if you just need one, then if you already have the Hot Toys, I would say skip it. But it is a fun looking, fun figure to have and pose and yeah, mess with. So there you go. There's the Hot Toys. No, this is the King Arts Iron Man Mark III. Thanks for watching.